Architecture in Emergency is an original approach to city building in response to the major climate threats facing London now and in the future. It asks, how can we create a truly resilient city that is prepared for the uncertain effects of climate change? It treats London as a vulnerable patient in an emergency department, with each urban block as an interconnected limb in need of urgent treatment against heat waves and flooding. In order to treat the city, it follows a two-step process: a diagnosis followed by an operation. If we look back at London's history, we can see it has the capacity to bounce back from moments of crisis. For example, in the 19th century, the cholera outbreak killed thousands of people, but led to the development of the embankment, which cleaned up the Thames from an open sewer and combined this with civic boulevards and public transport. In the context of the climate crisis, London faces two major challenges: heat waves and flooding. We know the city must mitigate and adapt to the consequences of a changing climate as a matter of priority. How should the city respond? Perhaps it is a holistic approach that utilises a scalable system working to build resilience into the fabric of the city, much like embankment. The A&E service was established to instil resilience into the fabric of the city by developing an operating kit for existing buildings. Each operating kit comes with medical journals, which arm the viewer with knowledge of the city and previous diagnoses, as well as information about its future. This particular kit focuses on a typical urban block in Shoreditch, as it represents the city as a microcosm. It includes a 19th century Victorian warehouse as well as a 1970s office block. Following a detailed analysis of the site, a series of medical trials are undertaken to work out the best course of treatment for the site. The third trial, which looks at a life support system, was chosen as the route forward. Following these trials, the urban block is issued with a letter which describes the procedure that is about to take place, and an operation information booklet which looks at the operation at a high level, which is broken down into two parts. The first of which upgrades the existing buildings to become as energy efficient as possible and locking in stored carbon, while the second is the life support system which supports the existing buildings to prolong their life. In upgrading the existing buildings, a Victorian warehouse was chosen as it best represents other buildings in London. The first step is to create voids in the existing buildings to bring daylight down to the ground floor and allow natural ventilation up through it. The existing openings are then upgraded, as well as the walls being insulated and being capped with a new roof light and solar panels. Inspired by the layers of a rainforest, the second part involves installing the attachment, which involves the emergent canopy layers bringing the energy down through the trunks and to the city floor and the adjacent buildings either side. As you walk through the city floor, you'll come across a sunken garden at the centre of the site, which in a major rainfall event acts as a water store and takes water off the streets. The cores, which sit in the middle of the site and support the roof, facilitate the movement of goods, people and services vertically. They are constructed of dry stacked natural limestone and are post-tensioned with steel, so that in the future they can be deconstructed with no wastage. The beams, which support the timber gantries, are mechanically fixed, so that if the existing levels of the buildings either side change, the gantries can move up and down with little effort. The publicly accessible green roof provides air source heating and cooling and solar power, while the expansive green roof absorbs CO2 and slows down rainfall, capturing it for water recycling. And following the first successful development of the site in Shoreditch, it is expected that the rest of London can follow suit into the future, creating a resilient city.